Darth, Theorist, rise.
What if the Mandalorians helped the Jedi after Order 66? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Jedi Master Eeth Koth stumbles through the streets of a local spaceport not far from Coscutan. He pulls his hood up tighter as he tries to slip through the crowds unseen. Though he is no longer on Coruscant, he will not allow himself to feel safe until he is out of the Empire's sphere of influence entirely, especially when there are clones everywhere. He makes his way towards one of the ships, a large barge designed to take refugees from the Outer Rim back to their home planets. He knows security there is more lax on other ships, and he should be able to slip through if he keeps his head down. Still, he glances around. He notices the number of clones in the area and feels his fingers tense at the sight of them. Once, he took comfort in being surrounded by clones, yet those days have long passed as Order 66 was enacted and the Jedi were turned from generals to criminals. He approaches the immigration terminal, where a clone officer stops him and orders him to present his chain codes. Master Koth freezes and digs into his cloak for his holodisc, which he presents to the officer. He holds his breath and tries to remain calm, but at last the light turns green and he is ushered through. Master Koth breathes a sigh of relief as he marches through. It had cost a small fortune to get these chain codes, but it seems like every credit was worth it. As he walks on by, he approaches the massive docking ramp where the civilians are pulling in preparation for their departure. He sets his foot on it and feels the muscles around his body tense. After this, he is home free. But then he feels a surge in the Force, a stab of the dark side. For a moment, he fears it is the Emperor, but the presence is not that powerful. Glancing around, he sees a man talking with the clones, and the darkness radiates from him. They point toward him. Eeth Koth feels his pulse quicken as he hurries towards the ship, hoping to lose them in the crowds. However, before he reaches the hallways, alarms begin to blare in the barrage, causing passengers to gasp, some dropping their luggage in surprise. An announcer takes control of the situation and claims that a stowaway is trying to sneak onto the ship. In seconds, the security personnel rush down the steps, their blasters ready and pointed at the Jedi Master, while the Inquisitor and his two guards box him in. Seeing no other option, Eeth draws his lightsaber and prepares himself.
A bold move, Master, but a foolish one. Did you really think that boarding that ship would have helped you? If you set foot on it, I simply would have ordered it destroyed.
Eeth feels the surge of fear around him, nearly deafening his mind as he tries to clear his head. A few level accusatory glances, but the Jedi keeps his attention focused on the man in front of him.
It pains me to claim that we once served the same order. Then let me liberate you of that pain, Master.
His double-bladed lightsaber flashes and spins as the warrior lunges at him. Eeth leaps back from the first strike, feeling it narrowly miss his foot. He then turns and parries the next, pushing it back, then ducking as the spinning blade whizzes over his head. Behind him, the clones cordon off the passengers, giving them room to fight. While this prevents them from getting in the Inquisitor's way, it also gives Master Koth room to maneuver. When the next flurry of blows halts, he steps back and then swings back and forces the Inquisitor on the defense. He makes the most of this momentum and begins to rain down attacks. The old Jedi's skills come rushing within as his attacks grow more certain and his movements aggressive. The Inquisitor spins to block his strike, but the blade does not reach their feet, so Eeth sweeps low and takes his legs from beneath him. The Inquisitor fails, but the man orders his clones to fire. As the troopers take aim, one of the passengers suddenly reaches into the folds of her cloak and pulls out 2 smoke grenades. Blinding white smoke fills the air, causing blaster bolts to go wide and passengers to scream. From the mist, that same passenger reaches out and grabs Master Koth by the arm and pulls him away.
It seems you've overstayed your welcome, Master.
You!
Me. Now are you going to keep staring at my pretty face, or are we leaving?
The Jedi does not need to be told twice as he accepts her hand and lets her escort him away, leaving the Inquisitor stumbling through the smoke. Yet no sooner does he appear does Ventress use the Force to slam him against a bulkhead and leave him slumping on the ground. With that, the pair disappears down the hall to a quieter sector of the spaceport, one reserved for outlaws and smaller ships. There, Ventress has a ship waiting for them as she hops on and powers up the controls. The Inquisitor appears along with a pair of purge troopers. One of them aims with a rocket launcher and fires. Eeth realizes the stabilizers are taking too long to power up, so he instead reaches into the Force and feels the missile rapidly approaching. He pulls it aside and guides the weapon to a nearby bulkhead. The explosion rattles the space station, but allows them to make a clean getaway. As the ship disappears into hyperspace, he turns to Ventress and offers a stiff bow.
It appears I owe my escape to you, assassin. Though I must ask, why would you do such a thing?
The same reason any bounty hunter does anything. Money. As it happens, someone is paying me more to keep Jedi alive than to kill you this time. Funny how that works out.
And who might this mysterious employer be that I owe my thanks to?
You can ask them yourself. I'm taking you there now.
That puts an end to the conversation, as Eeth has no choice but to sit back and watch hyperspace through the viewport, trying to make sense of everything. The whole galaxy had turned upside down the last few weeks, but this is perhaps the first time it worked in his favor. He continues to sit and meditate, letting Ventress handle piloting while occasionally helping her check on the ship until, at last, they reappear back in normal space. To his surprise, Master Koth finds that they have appeared on Mandalore, where they descend onto Sundari. A group of warriors escorts him to the palace, where he is even more surprised to see Ahsoka and several other Jedi. But the one sitting on the throne of Mandalore is not a Jedi, but Bo-Katan. Ahsoka is at her side and bows her head respectfully.
Master Koth, we're so relieved you're safe. When we heard you survived the purge, we went looking for you immediately.
So it is you that I owe my survival to, young one.
It is her idea, but my doing. Welcome, Master.
A Mandalorian and a Night Sister saving a Jedi. The galaxy truly has gone mad then.
It is not as difficult to imagine as you think. Mandalore recently reclaimed its independence from Maul, but I haven't forgotten that Palpatine had tried to use the crisis here as an excuse to invade. There's no reason to think that he won't try that again. The difference is that he is powerful enough that he won't need to ask permission.
So why save the Jedi?
Because at the end of the day, we will need people who can actually help us fight the Empire. The Jedi were at the top of my list, so here is my proposal. Mandalore is prepared to provide open amnesty to the Jedi Order if they, in turn, help protect and strengthen Mandalore.
So I see your goal. You are playing a dangerous game, challenging the Empire like that. It is a force to be reckoned with, and you have just recently reconquered your planet.
That is why I need every ally I can get, and you would be wise to not underestimate Mandalore. The Empire might appear strong, but it's newly formed, like a freshly hatched mythosaur. It has not yet taken full shape of what it could be, and before it reaches adult size, we have a chance to make something of ourselves. That is, if the Jedi will ally with us.
The Jedi's allies are few and far between. We will not reject your offer.
The two of them shake hands and begin working on rebuilding Mandalore. One concession Bo-Katan makes is allowing the Jedi to set up a temple on Sundari for the members to regroup and continue their traditions, but they do not remain there. The Jedi must take an active role in the coming campaign, first and foremost as diplomats. She begins to send them to recruit scattered clans across the planet and the surrounding colonies, including Concordia. This will hopefully boost their numbers. However, some members refuse to join, citing Death Watch's own weaknesses. Among those who refuse are the Children of the Watch, who instead opt to remain in hiding rather than follow those they deem apostates. At the same time, the Jedi also begin reaching out beyond Mandalorian-controlled space. They, along with some of the Mandalorians, search for their scattered comrades, using the Jedi Order's old networks of allies and informants to track them down. They create an underground railroad of sorts that guides these Jedi to Sundari, where their numbers grow. They also reach out to enemies of the Empire, former CIS colonies and Republic worlds unhappy with the rise of the Empire, where they form treaties and send supplies and volunteers in exchange for Mandalore's exports and, in some cases, military assets. Some of the warriors are unhappy with this arrangement and would prefer to simply take what they need under the days of Pre-Vizsla.
We were once feared across the galaxy, never bartered with savages and negotiated with weaklings. If we needed something, we demanded it, and if they didn't hand it over, we took it.
And where will that thinking get you exactly? Yes, you took what you wanted. You also alienated your allies, and existed on the fringes because no one would work with you.
Ahsoka is correct. The Empire lives by imposing order where it sees chaos. You begin acting like terrorists again, and they will send their entire navy and burn this place to a cinder. And we fight them, or die trying.
You will die. The Empire isn't the Republic, and it has all its resources, but none of its reluctance to use them however it wants.
The Jedi are correct. We are a legitimate government, not some sect of warriors hiding in the fringes of society. Not anymore. That means we have to carry ourselves as such. We continue negotiations.
Still, that doesn't mean they don't give some concessions to these warrior hardliners. One thing Bo-Katan agrees to is training all adults on the planet in the ways of the warrior to have a steady stream of fighters. However, this is a stopgap measure, as past warriors without a purpose are worthless, and many are still itching to use them. Here, the Jedi try to help by training the Mandalorian warriors, both in combat and meditation techniques, to temper them. Ventress also helps, trying to let their aggression out in brutal training sessions. She uses her experience as a Night Sister to train them on how to handle exposure to the dark side, serve as assassins and spies. Bo satisfies them with raiding marauders who encroach on their territory, and the occasional Imperial convoy that strays too far from its trading routes. However, these do not truly pacify the Mandalorians. Eventually, some begin to whisper that rather than helping the Jedi, they are losing their warrior ways to the Jedi, and in turn becoming their puppets. The Empire continues to observe these developments with growing interest. While Palpatine has deemed the Mandalorians a danger to the new Empire, he is wary of sending the full might of the Imperial military. Their careful diplomacy allowed them to win allies, specifically allies who have long distrusted the Empire and might even come to their side if they do something. No, he would need to destroy them from within to ensure no one rises to their defense. The coup begins quietly, whispers in taverns of Sundari and training yards of Concordia, where veteran Death Watch members speak with new recruits. Speaking of the glory days under Pre Vizsla, he was building a society by Mandalorians and only for them. They never had to bow before anyone like Duchess Satine did with the Republic. Mandalorians who sneer at Jedi interference gather in secret, their armor painted with old clan colors that have not flown openly in years. Credits and weapons flow into their hands, smuggled through Imperial channels, and with the potential to actually take their words into action, they might at last begin to act. When the uprising ignites, it is sudden and violent. Explosions tear through the streets of Sundari as warriors storm the palace gates, shouting that Bo-Katan has sold Mandalore to Jedi overlords. As guards move to restore order, the barracks erupts into war with themselves as banners of Death Watch are raised again. Bo rallies her loyalists, but it is not enough. The attackers know every alley and tunnel. Some even free former Maul-aligned warriors who join their uprising, allow the Mandalorians to fight Mandalorians as they did just a few short months ago. Despite that, they struggle to take critical areas, thanks in part due to the support of the Jedi Order. From their temple, they gather refugees and coordinate their defenses. Their warriors, numbering barely 24, but are supported by hundreds of those who have accepted the Jedi philosophy. Some are trained with melee weapons like staves, similar to temple guards, and others with the weapons of the Dathomirians. These newer recruits, fighters tempered by meditation, trained in discipline as much as in skill, hold the lines where seasoned warriors falter. Their movements are unlike anything Death Watch has encountered before, and this allows them to be beaten back. Side by side with the Jedi, they drive the coup back into the underlevels and crush it before nightfall. The city is saved, but at a cost. While Sundari burns, Imperial fleets slip back into the fringe territories Mandalore had claimed, and the fragile alliance they built up. Supply lines are severed, allies fall silent, and the sphere of Mandalorian influence contracts to the system itself. In the aftermath, silence hangs over the council chamber. Smoke drifts in from the city outside. Ventress leans against the wall, arms crossed, as she finishes leading the surviving rebels to prison.
This is bad. Without those trading networks, Mandalore may starve in a few cycles.
That is assuming the Empire stays its hand until famine sets in. We must begin rebuilding these channels immediately, or find new ones. We cannot remain alone.
And we must begin training new recruits.
You see the problem. You Jedi want to play peacekeepers, clinging to their shining image of guardians in a galaxy that no longer exists. But the time for peacekeepers is gone. You can't polish your code while the galaxy burns. You must fight as resistance fighters, or you will die.
And what do you suggest? Becoming warriors?
Warriors, assassins, spies, everything that can serve.
The words sting, but they carry weight. Eeth Koth sits in grim meditation, saying nothing. Ahsoka lowers her eyes, torn between instinct and necessity.
Enough. You think we can just take what we want? We're already isolated, and the Empire holds a dagger at our throat. What do you suggest we do? Sell our warrior traditions?
Your traditions will be a millstone around your neck, Lady Kryze. Pick a side. Your people believe in these traditions so much that they are willing to isolate themselves. So long as you do that, the dagger will never be pulled aside.
The palace at Sundari echoes with the voices of clan leaders. Bo-Katan stands at the head of the chamber, not as a warlord, but as a soldier. Like the rest of them, her armor gleaming under the pale light. Around her, banners of the great clans hang proudly, each one a reminder of Mandalore's fractured past. The clan leaders, some of whom had previously fought against them, are gathered and hear her announcement. Rather than continue to rule as a singular authority, She will officially welcome each clan to bring a representative so they may form a council. The warriors erupt in assent. For the first time in generations, Mandalore has a government that promises both unity and strength, but it also helps secure her rule amongst the Mandalorians. Now they no longer have reason to rebel, as all members have an incentive to remain loyal to the new government, and they listen to their reforms. Many of their warriors will continue the traditional training of the Mandalorian people, but a select number might undergo specialized training to better serve Mandalore. Some are sent to the Jedi, who also armor themselves in Beskar to preserve their dwindling numbers. They train these warriors to carry pikes and use them like the weapons of the Temple Guards. Another group is trained by Ventress in the arts of subterfuge, preferring brutality and strength over traditional combat. These serve as assassins and spies and begin testing their abilities by striking at areas normally claimed by Mandalore. They vanish into the dark, striking at Imperial allies and silencing governors, Imperial officials, and collaborators before their people even know they are vulnerable. The campaign begins in the border worlds once held by Mandalorian crusaders centuries ago. Concord Dawn bends first, its governor executed by shadows while the Sentinels march openly through the streets. Their planet is offered protectorate and client state status to restore order, much as Palpatine had tried to stage a coup on Mandalore. They return the favor and strike at these loyalist places. Its people find themselves bound to Mandalore's defense, but promised autonomy in return. Then come the former separatist holdouts. On Kalevala, shadows eliminate the local Imperial garrison in one night. Sentinels follow with a lightning strike, planting the banners of Mandalore over the capital. Bo proclaims the planet a protectorate, not a conquest. The Empire notices. An Imperial fleet enters Mandalorian space, but when the battle comes, it is the reformed Mandalorian army that raises to meet them as the shadows and Sentinels retreat behind enemy lines. Squadrons of fighters swarm through the void, tearing through Imperial lines. Sentinels spearhead boarding actions, accompanied by their Jedi commanders, and guide entire fleets. Ahsoka and Eeth Koth use their experience boarding CIS ships to capture more vessels and turn them against fellow Imperial ships. When the smoke clears, the Imperial fleet is broken. Mandalore's first great victory shakes the Outer Rim, proving the Empire is not untouchable. Back in Sundari, Bo-Katan watches the Council raise their banners high, firelight flickering on the armor.
This is only the beginning. Mandalore will not survive by hiding. We will fight, we will expand, and we will protect. The Empire wanted a single world to crush. What it faces now is an Empire reborn.
The hall roars with the cry of warriors, echoing like thunder across Sundari, and beyond Mandalore's skies, the galaxy begins to tremble. Imperial weather satellites unfurl, black machines blotting the horizon and deploying from fleets of star destroyers. Despite their resurgence, one area where the Mandalorians still lack is their naval power, which allows an Imperial fleet to begin deploying forces. As these satellites unfold, their emitters pulse and begin to generate storms. Rain lashes down in sheets, flooding the plains, while wind tears across the surface with unnatural fury. Entire settlements are swept away in hours. All of this also prevents the Mandalorians from taking to the sky and challenging the Imperial army as shuttles deploy in the few dry places, while Imperial command ships hover in orbit. Their bombardments timed with each new wave of climate disruption. Inside the domed cities, panic spreads. Thousands of Mandalorians pound against the Transparisteel as the farmlands drown and their kin are cut off from the storms. Bo-Katan and Eeth Koth stand ready, gathering the regular army and the Sentinels for battle. Eeth Koth steps forward beside her, Sentinel guards arrayed in gold and black armor, their electropikes gleaming in the firelight.
The Empire thinks Mandalore hides behind glass. Let them come. We are the storm.
We are not prey. We are not refugees. We are Mandalore reborn. Stand firm, Sentinels. Today, we decide if the galaxy sees us as victims or victors.
The storm outside howls, but the gates of Sundari open as they allow the Empire inside. Stormtroopers pour through along with TIE fighters and other starships. This is to force the Empire to lower the power of its weather satellites in order to let those forces in. When they do, they immediately find themselves under attack as the last of the Mandalorians can fight them how they want, with their jetpacks and other equipment. Sentinels march, shields raised, coming in waves above to cut through the Imperial legions scattered across the city. Here, they isolate and destroy individual Imperial units. Those who survive are cut down by blasters and pikes. Eeth Koth leads this attack with his lightsaber ready. He dons armor as well, letting it shrug off attacks as he advances forward, cutting through stormtroopers left and right while Bo-Katan strikes at forces in the air. As she downs one shuttle, she looks through the skies and watches a handful of their gunships disappear into the clouds. One ship lands in the lead Star Destroyer, where Ahsoka, Ventress, and her assassins slip through the corridors, cutting down stormtroopers before alarms even sound. They make their way deeper into the bridge and the databanks. Ventress's assassins carve their way into the data core, slicing into the controls while Ahsoka and Ventress guard the entry. But the air chills as a hiss of sabers ignites behind them. Two Inquisitors step from the smoke, red blades humming.
Rats in the Emperor's walls. How predictable.
Ah, at last. A challenge.
Ahsoka ignites her twin sabers, stance firm. Ventress smiles and readies her own weapons.
Then you know how this ends.
The duel erupts. Ahsoka clashes with the second sister, blades flashing red and blue as the two dart at each other, focusing on quick strikes that are meant to get under the other's defenses. Ventress spins her curved hilts, driving back the other Inquisitor with lethal grace. She laughs and gestures for the warrior to attack. 11th Brother indulges, swinging his lightsaber in blinding arcs and dragging it across the floor to send sparks her way. The former Sith leaps over this onslaught rather than braving the attacks. She reverses her grip and tries to stab, but the Inquisitor turns and blocks these strikes. Around them, the assassins cut down troopers flooding the deck, holding the line. And meanwhile, Ahsoka dodges as the Inquisitor advances on her, sliding under her attacks and trying to sweep her leg. The second sister laughs and throws her back with the Force. She lunges once again, raising her saber high and trying to plunge it into her. At the last second, Ahsoka rolls aside and kicks her back. She follows with two quick grabs and tries to slash her lightsaber. The second sister parries these strikes but feels the blades pressing close. However, she manages to hold firm, at least until Ahsoka kicks her waist and sends her crumpling to the ground. In one quick strike, she finishes the second sister with a slash across her neck. Meanwhile, Ventress is also gaining the upper hand against her opponent. Though the 11th Brother is fierce, he is struggling against the Sith assassin. Ventress is simply too fast for him, and she leaps past all of his attacks and counters with one quick slash that sends him reeling. She smirks and kicks the man across the mask and tries to drive her lightsabers into his chest, but he bats them aside. Slowly, he ignites his saber's spinning mechanism and advances on her, forcing her to yield ground, but only enough to reach out with the Force and begin choking him. His eyes widen as he rises off the ground, then pulls him close right into her lightsaber. With the two gone, they begin to alter the controls of the weather satellites, turning them upon the Imperial staging grounds and letting the lightning strike against their Star Destroyer shields. Seeing the war machines beginning to falter, the Mandalorians begin a counterattack. Their fighters and gunships take off, striking at the confused Imperial forces. At the ground, Eeth Koth leads the charge, saber flashing while lightning arcs behind him.
For Mandalore!
The cry echoes through the night, joined by thousands of warriors, until the Imperial ground forces shatter. In the Star Destroyer, it begins to lose altitude as the pair downloads recordings and schematics of the attack and hurries out with the soldiers. Images of Palpatine's attack, proof of Imperial war crimes, are broadcast through the holonet by Mandalorian relays. Entire sectors watch in horror as the attempted genocide takes place. As the news of this takes place, many planets are horrified and reconsider their position. The Empire prides itself on bringing peace and security, yet this video is stunning evidence to the contrary. Not only did they not bring peace to Mandalore, but they could not even bring them to heal. For the first time, planets begin to openly question the Empire, which has not yet fully established itself. Instead, Mandalore takes this opportunity and begins recruiting new allies into the war effort. For the first time in many years, people begin to see Mandalore as a true power in its own right, rather than just another one of many planets in the galaxy. Slowly but surely, Mandalore begins to grow its empire, rivaling that of Palpatine's domain. They quickly garrison and settle these new places, and for the first time, a second power rises up against the Sith. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.